the whole world of bar industry is here, and this is super exciting. BCB gets bigger and bigger every year, and even this year it's the same thing. We've got more partners, more bartenders from the world coming in, even more bartenders from Asia and Americas, which is super exciting for us. For Thomas Henry, we've got a nice mix of European top bartenders like the Ruma from Rotterdam. We've got Dead in Paradise from Barcelona, Dead in Paradise from Beirut, but then Lucy's Flower Shop, one of the world's 50 best bars, coming from Stockholm, and also Odd Strandbakken from the Charles H. bar in Seoul, coming all the way to Berlin. He's a good old friend because back in the days when he worked for Himcock Bar, we were already collaborating with him, and it's great to have him back here as a good old friend of the brand. So as you can see, it's a great mix of different bartenders, different countries, different cultures, different ideas and understandings of drink consumption. This will make our stand, but also our event tonight, very exciting because you will see it's a nice mix of most different ideas and twists. And I'm super excited. It's like a big international family coming home, and coming home to our home turf, Berlin, today. So Thomas Henry is currently available in South Korea, in Thailand, in China, in Taiwan, but obviously there's huge opportunity in the Asian market. We're currently opening up the Japanese market and also exploring further opportunities outside of that. But for us, the go-to markets, just by the size of the market, by the premium cocktail consumption, by the understanding of premium cocktails, our focus is clearly on Japan, China, and South Korea for the next years. And it's a huge opportunity, huge growth expected, but a lot of work to be done. For us as a premium mixer, it's a category that still needs to develop. So it's not established yet, and that's our chance, but also our work to do now to educate the bartenders about premium mixers, about the necessity of having premium mixers, but then also about the convenience of working with premium mixers, making life easier, but also generating more profits for the bartenders out there. So we're here to help. So in Asia we see a difference in the SKUs. In general, there is always the tonic water and ginger beer as our best performing SKUs, but just by the culture, it's very the drinks are very classic in general. If you go into premium bars, so that means soda water is the go-to SKU. But then also cherry blossom tonic, we found out, is a flavor that is well perceived, and by the color that's interesting and that has a great opportunity market. And not only driven by tequila, but that's what we see in Europe. The grapefruit is an amazing liquid and is the fastest growing SKU in our portfolio. But in Asia, it's also a great mix with local spirits. So when I was in Korea, we tried soju and grapefruit, and it's an amazing, refreshing drink that brings great volumes, and that is also very exciting for local consumers. Because tequila is still very small over there. Gin is growing, but still on a small level. So we have to work, and we can only win if we work with the local spirits, because that's where the volumes are. Very classic, a high level of hospitality, highly professional, and very well premiumized. So just by the price you pay for a drink, by the quality of a drink you get, it's obviously very premium, and it's a very exciting market because there's also not only the premium offer but also the premium demand. There's a willingness to spend premium, there's a willingness to consume premium. We've got a high density of people in major cities, and that if you combine that with the purchase power, that's the opportunity for a brand like Thomas Henry. Well, it's an easy answer. You can see it from the stand already, and that's been the motto for us this year. Highballs as an opportunity, as a modern idea of a long drink, but highball doesn't mean it's. With highball we mean very easily made drinks. Yet that doesn't mean we compromise on the quality. So it must not be a gin and tonic, but it can be a cordial, it can be an infusion. So everything, like parts are pre-batched. we make life for the bartenders easy, but in the end what you get in a glass, it's a very complex high-end drink. But we stick to the 2 or 3 component rule to make life easy. And why highball is so interesting for Europe and for the market in general right now is also because of COVID. There is not enough staff out there. There's prices went up. So bartenders today need to be very smart on how they spend their money and how they employ their people. So with a highball concept, we help them in using less resources. Everything can be pre-batched and prepped. At the same time, charging more money or even the same money because it's a very complex drink. And then a highball is easily drunken. That means while I drink a Negroni in half an hour, a highball can be drunken in 15 minutes maybe. So also the rotation is higher. If a consumer would come and drink 2 Negronis, that means he could drink 3 or 4 highballs. So also it brings more money to the wallet of a bartender, and that's our interest and that's our opportunity. And now coming to Asia, yeah, highballs is a big thing. It's a mainstream topic. Like you could go not only into mixology bars, but you would go into a restaurant, you would go into a mainstream bar. A highball is just a typical choice of a local consumer to have ideally whiskey and soda. Prefer to having a beer or to having aperitivo drinks, and that's where the volume comes for us, and that's where we see an opportunity in not only bringing in our soda water but bringing in our mixers and then helping elevate premium spirits and making life easier for consumers and also for our bartenders.
My name is Odd Strandbakken. I'm from Norway, but I now live in Seoul, where I work for Four Seasons APAC, the beverage ambassador for Japan, China, Korea, Hong Kong, and Taiwan. But I'm also the head bartender for Child Stage in Four Seasons Seoul. Thomas Henry is one of those products that have a consistent line. There's always enough CO2 to make a good highball. There's consistent flavors, natural flavors, and always makes a good drink. Easy for my staff also to kind of mix up and invent their own cocktails à la minute, because they know what to expect and they know that it's always good and it's going to hold up. Never any variation. It's never the craft element. It's very often a lot of variation. Sometimes it's really good and sometimes it's really bad. But for me, having a consistent product is number one. It means everything. Man, who doesn't love a highball, right? I think the history of the highball that we know today is very interesting because while it started as a way to cure your hangover before paracetamol in America, it was also the Japanese that reinvented the way that we make scotch and soda. And the way they did that is that they fell in love with beer in America and the American culture, and they really, really wanted to have beer, but it didn't travel so well in the early 1900s. So they imported the distilled beer as well instead, which is of course whiskey. And then they recarbonated it with super carbonated water, and they made it into a very nice light highball that we know and love today. So highballs are easy to drink, you can drink many of them, and it keeps you happy and bubbly, you know. The highballs in Asia can be very much an art form. While bartenders here in Europe and in America will usually order a daiquiri as a first drink to gauge the excellence level of the bartender, in Asia it can very often be a highball to see how much CO2 you retain in the highball, how sparkling is, how well you chill the glass, the ice, how you melt the nucleation points on the frozen ice. It's very much an art form if you do it right. And in Japan you have something called misawari, which has been called the drink of God, where you just have water source and whiskey, and bringing out the subtleties of the whiskey in a perfect balance between ingredients. And here in Berlin, here in Germany, in Europe, and Norwegian myself, it is very much a fun drink that you can always have. There's always time for a highball. So, you know, it can be a little bit more loose. It can be just mate with a shot of vodka inside the bottle, but it can also be done very nicely and have great subtle flavors of local cuisine as well. I'm going in depth about the idea behind CO2 in beverages. So what brings out the gas, what to do, what not to do when making a classic highball. and why, and also the science behind the keeping and retaining the CO2 in the beverage, as well as how to force carbonate, so how to make your own highball, the same way that you see in Waxon here in Berlin or Zest in Seoul, Korea. How you can carbonate all the liquid inside and then retain it. The modern way of making a highball if you don't choose to go with a premium mixer like Thomas Henry. A perfect cocktail, first of all, is a cocktail with intent, right? My favorite drink is, of course, the first drink I have after work. But for me, a perfect highball will be Naked Malt and Thomas Henry or Nomad whiskey with a little bit of sherry. So the sherry finish on the whiskey is usually very, very nice. No peat, no smokiness, just clean, good Scotch with a good soda water. Maybe a little spritz of lemon zest on the side of the glass, not on top to ruin the bubbles.